this might be a tough decision right now.
My team did
I'm not just
absolutely garbage.
NFL games that were like,
Right.
whoa. I actually don't
Had
know.
a lot of mixed feelings.
Welcome, Disgruntled. We have another guest here on the League of the Wings.
Ooh, that clap was crazy. Hold on. Oh, wait. Don't even begin. No.
I thought you said you were ready.
I was.
Then why were you having me wait before I talked?
I just wanted to make sure you were ready.
I usually say
I didn't want you to rush into it.
it.
That's all.
Right when I sit down after coming from starting the camera, you usually know that I say something pretty badassery.
No,
And
I
then
don't.
you're
I
like,
don't think
"Stop."
this is the expectation I have of you at all. Actually.
Well, it's what I have of you, so
All right.
I did my homework ahead of time.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm
Right?
proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is the first time in 3 years.
Yeah. Wait, I didn't even completely do it.
Ah, so close. So close. Let's talk about the playoffs. There was 12 teams, but not anymore.
Now there's only 6, and the Eagles are one of them. So let's review.
No. There's not only 6. Caleb.
There's only 8.
Come on.
There's only 8 teams, and the Eagles are one of them. But before we go to the divisional round, we must enter the Super Bowl or Super Wildcard weekend.
Yay! We made it. It's the second Super Wildcard weekend ever since they expanded to 7. Actually, is the third now? Is
I
it?
think it's second. Because the 17-game season only was...
Colts 2020 season. Were they the 6th or the 7th seed when they made the playoffs? Because they were 11-5 and they were the last seed, I remember.
11-6. Not 11-5.
11-5. It was still a 16-game season, but I mean, how do I look at it?
Didn't they only make the Super Bowl or Super Wildcard weekend due to the 17-game season?
I don't think so.
Oh.
No, I think those were 2 separate decisions, actually.
I thought they were all in one. Welcome to the League of the Wings, where you get important facts that are factually correct.
Important facts that are indeed factually correct. Yeah. No, I was right. They had 7 before they converted to a 17-game season. So this is the third Super Wildcard weekend because the Colts, as I remembered, were the 7th seed. And when they lost to Buffalo, 24-27 at 11-5, which is like pretty. The AFC was stacked then, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's still a lot more stacked now than what it was last. Or yeah, I feel like it's been stacked.
Yeah, but like
the
the bottom seed isn't 11-6 though. You know, it's a little worse than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true.
That's kind of what I mean. Is like the success, like the AFC success over the NFC at least was a lot more dominant. Because that's where it came. That's where all the extra wins came from.
What do you mean? The
Chicago
8
was
and 9.
8-8.
The 8 or 7-9 Washington team made it into the playoffs. That's the most elite playoff team that we've ever seen.
Let's talk about 2 teams that are divisional rivals that played this week. I think they're not the only ones. In fact, they're third. Right? Yeah, there's 3 games this week that were between divisional rivals, which is cool because it's like the third matchup of the season, and it's pretty. I don't know how rare, but it's like pretty special still, and you get good content because I think teams have started to figure each other out, and it's like just because you got 2 wins, maybe you went up 2 wins against them in the regular season doesn't mean you're guaranteed the third. Mm-hmm. We've seen that time and time again. Such as I'm pretty sure that happened with the Bucks and the Saints, where the Saints beat them twice in the regular season and the Bucks beat them the season that they ended up winning it all. This is what the Seahawks are kind of hoping for against the 49ers, since 49ers, obviously in terms of record, the better team. Seahawks started to slip towards the end of the season. Wanted to see if they could bring it against the 49ers, and if they could take out the 49ers, then they'd had a chance, I feel, to go all the way. If they could beat the AFC champion, I don't know, but I don't I don't think the Seahawks are like completely incapable of like those big ones in the NFC. 49ers just too good. Their offense is heating up at the perfect time. It's similar to the Bucks run that I just mentioned earlier. Put up 41. Christian McCaffrey, amazing. George Kittle, amazing. Debo is back now. Ayuk probably playing the best football of his career. And Brock Purdy just, statistically and efficiency wise, probably one of the better quarterbacks in the playoffs, period. So yeah, that's all I gotta say there. We were both right about the 49ers. I thought it would be lower scoring. I thought the Seahawks defense would stiffen up, but right now I don't trust any defense to really slow down the 49ers.
Should have been the Lions.
I wouldn't put money on it. You know what I mean?
Should have been the Lions there. Lions would have won.
I actually think the Lions would have brought it closer, at least. Yeah, because they were heating up. Lions were heating up. Seahawks weren't.
Yeah. But we got to give Seahawks a little bit of credit for at least staying in a half, because for the first half, it was only 17-16, in which, that's pretty decent. I got to give them flowers for at least staying in a half. But once that second half rolled around, you can't stop the Yak Boys, as simple as that.
You can't stop the
You
Yak
can't
Boys.
literally.
You
You can't stop the Yak Boys.
Can't.
Brock Purdy literally all has to do is just throw it 2 yards down the field, and he's going to get a 70-yard touchdown by Debo. Easy dubs. Brock Purdy, all you gotta do is just complete a 2 or 3 yard completion, and you basically have 4 touchdowns and 300 yards. It's as simple as that.
That's what I'm talking about.
But
Yeah, that's not like what Metcalf's known for. He's not a Yak Boy. You know what I mean? Like Metcalf is like you gotta get him the distance first, because his depth of target is one of the larger, more outliers in the league as far as depth of target, especially with Wilson. Even Lockett was a deep ball guy with Wilson a lot. I remember they tore up the Colts like I guess it was only last year. So yeah, I think you're right. When you have the playmakers that are just like as on an independent level can like make the difference and don't like really depend on the quarterback as much, the quarterback play. That's everything to a team, man. It's just the individual effort always surpasses, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know.
I agree. That's why the 49ers are so dangerous, and I'm going to be interested to see how the Eagles will stop them in the championship. And I feel like if you stop the Yak Boys...
You're already making your predictions. You're talking about it like it's a done deal. I guarantee you one of those teams are getting upset. It's not going to be 49ers Eagles championship.
I hope it's not the Eagles, but okay, I was just getting a little facetious. I don't want to be too cocky because that's probably going to end up as a upset by the Giants. And if the Giants, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but if the Giants beat the Eagles, then the Giants are going to the Super Bowl.
Bro, I'm just saying, like, Giants could be the Bengals this year. You know what I mean? No one saw the Bengals coming.
You know what's similar to Daniel Jones and Eli Manning? Other than their whiteness and boyish looks.
What?
Eli Manning took them to a Super Bowl win his 4th year.
Is this Daniel Jones' 4th? Have we already gone to his 4th?
Yeah.
That's right, because this offseason, they have to exercise the 5th-year option to keep him.
Mm-hmm. And
wow.
And the Giants, I believe, were only 7-9 or 8-8, and they beat the flawless Patriots in the Super Bowl. Helmet catch, and then they went on 3 years later to beat the Patriots again.
So there is precedent, is what Caleb is saying.
Yeah, both had a similar record too, because the Giants' second Super Bowl run, I believe that they were only 9-7. So this is looking like a typical Giant late playoff run.
But perhaps what is actually even more relevant to the Bengals run, as far as like actually just making that the late season run and actually winning the division. Because the Giants didn't win the division, but you know who did out of nowhere, out of left field, with a young quarterback who also a number 1 pick as well. The Jaguars. The Jaguars made a ridiculous comeback against the Chargers. We're getting a lot of those this season. Trevor Lawrence really rough at first, and then just bounced back because that's the Dougie P way. You know, you can't ever count a Dougie P quarterback out. They'll always find a way back in. They got good playmakers. I feel like a lot of people, made fun of them for spending the bag on Christian Kirk, but like they are seeing the upside of that now. It wasn't always apparent, but we're seeing it now. There's also Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, Etienne. We know them well. Yeah, these guys are a young group in general. I mean, not every single one of them, but in general, these guys are a young group that can like really grow up together, and like they're already winning playoff games right now. Like this is a scary thing going forward, and it's like very similar to like how we felt about the Bengals. It's like, oh, they're very young. Like, yeah, they could get a couple playoff wins, but they are not going to go to the Super Bowl. And then they did, just because like they are a really like synergetic, put together team with a good coach. And so, yeah, I think the Jaguars are a sleeper, a wee sleeper. Obviously, they're gonna have tough next couple of games, no matter how like the other games like turn out. Like the AFC side just looks stacked, besides the Jaguars, and it's gonna be hard, but it's not impossible. They managed to do this insane comeback against the Chargers, who also have a similar like kind of storyline. They got the young quarterback, they got a lot of good things going for them, but I feel like the Jaguars just have the mentality right now, that underdog mentality that is really just providing the adrenaline to push them through. And a lot of these other teams, I don't really see that as much.
They just got that inner dog in them. Mm-hmm. They're just letting that dog reign free. Ain't no chain on this dog.
There you go. I also predicted that the Chargers would score 30. That was the first correct score prediction of this entire game we're doing. We're doing playoff predictions, predicting the scores and the team who wins. And later on, we'll do other prop bets. But in the super wild card weekend, we both predicted Chargers. We were wrong. Jaguars proved us wrong. We're not going to make the same mistake again, or maybe we will. You'll find out. Stay tuned. Anything else you'd like to say about this matchup, Caleb? Happened on Saturday night.
I wanted to commentate on the underdog mentality that you were referring to.
Go for it.
Which is a very scary Dougie P mentality to have, and the league should be scared. So remember the last time Dougie P had this underdog mentality? His teammates were literally wearing dog masks after games through the playoff push that carried them to the Super Bowl win. It was the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl run, in which they were the underdogs, even though they were the number 1 seed, in which Nick Sirianni is going to undertake as well this year. But that's besides the point. But Jaguars should be scared, and I would not be surprised if they land in the championship and or even get to the Super Bowl. I would not be surprised at all.
Cool. Yeah, I think everyone is just not going to bet against the Jaguars. Obviously, I don't think anyone in their right mind would favor them over the rest of the AFC, but certainly not going to bet against them. That's where I'm at least. It's kind of how we feel, or we started to feel about the Dolphins too, just because like the firepower they had as an offense, and they showed it again a little bit even without Tua against the Bills. It was a way closer matchup than people anticipated. I think the Bills were like 14-point overdogs. What do you call that? Favorites. I've been watching too much TV, and that fucking Kevin Hart commercial is ingrained in my memory right now. But oof. Fuck Kevin Hart.
We stand Kevin Hart on this show. He is going to be he's a guest on this show.
Wow, welcome in Kevin Hart.
Imagine.
No, I think he's overrated.
Me too.
I respect him because he's on that grind. He makes his money. Good on him. From Philadelphia.
Also
produces a lot of good Philadelphia content in general, like the Netflix show that kind of didn't really take off. But, I appreciate the effort. But as far as just like a talent, I don't know. It's not for me, I guess.
He's just small, that's all.
He's just funny because he's small, and you pair him up with The Rock, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like we have better humor than that as humanity. Like we can be better than that, but honestly, for now,
that's all his humor really comes down to at the end of the day.
And then you throw Jack Black into the mix, and it's just like,
Jack Black never ever tarnishes Jack Black's name. He is the GOAT.
No, I love Jack Black. Good. He's one of the greatest guest appearances on a sitcom in history, and it was on Community.
Yes.
I think Community has really great guest appearances because they had Betty White on it, and she was a psychopath, and it was dope. Anyways,
We can get to the Bills. Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of introduced that.
Oh.
But yeah, I was talking about how the Bills were major overdogs, and that's how we ended up on that tangent. I think it was mainly just like a Dolphins defensive effort, but also I think on the offensive side, Dolphins they held up overall. Like the defense had something to work with, but at the end of the day, it's like it's not going to be enough because like as soon as Josh Allen gets back on the field, like he's turnover prone, but he's also big play prone, and it's like more often than not he's going to have the big plays than the turnovers anyway, so it's going to lead you to wins. And with coaching, like you're going to be able to like make the best out of any situation. So Josh Allen's ability to just like get the big plays done no matter what, even after coming off of a big interception, like that's really important, like that mentality, because a lot of quarterbacks will throw a deep pick and then like play it safe for a couple drives, practice their ball protection again. But like Josh Allen, he goes out guns blazing every time, and the thing is he's so good that it usually works out in his favor.
The Bills don't scare me as much as I once did.
Yeah, I think at this point in the season, I would agree. Earlier in the season, for sure, when they beat the Chiefs, that was a big deal. But like right now, we're kind of like,
Yeah, I just feel like that there's also like kind of a downside to that mentality too, a little bit, where I think more often than not he's going to make the big play, in which I agree with you, but I also think that there is a big like downfall when that big play isn't coming, and kind of I feel like he's kind of running out of like those big plays, and I feel like it's not sustainable is what I'm trying to say. I feel I'm getting a feeling that it could like bite him in the foot of like not making that like 45-yard like touchdown bomb to Gabe Davis, or that like 30-yard gain up the middle to like Stephon Diggs.
I mean, I'll go a different direction with that. I agree it's not really sustainable, but at the same time, it's kind of what you have to do in playoff football. You have to make those big bets, no matter like, even if you are coming off an interception, you can't let that like feed into your mentality. You just gotta keep playing your A game. You gotta play whatever's called up, and try to make the best play out of any situation. So like, yeah, I think it can go both ways. Like, I would agree that like someone like Patrick Mahomes is a little bit better because he has at least the efficiency, a little bit more efficiency on his side, and also ball protection in terms of like not fumbling, which Josh Allen also like kind of prone to doing. So it's not as bad. Plus, I honestly would say that the way that things are dialed up in Kansas City, like receivers are getting a lot more open there in general, even if they're not the most talented receivers. Whereas like Bills is like they're kind of depending on like brute strength to get open or just like get the high point and shit like that, and that's where we end up seeing a lot of failures. But as long as the QB play is like consistent overall and he's not like mentally wavering, I think it's fine. We saw a moment where he was like getting in a fight with a Dolphins player, and that was worrying, but immediately he came back and just kept playing his A game, and that's why I'm not too worried about the Bills. I don't consider them like a Super Bowl favorite by any means, but I think they could still like make a run because their defense is still really good. Special teams pretty solid. Yeah, even if a defense does get an edge over him, he's always just going to return with a touchdown. I mean, like it's always going to at least be close.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you need. Is like at least keep it close, not let a huge lead get past you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think this was a exciting game nonetheless. It was 34-31, and yeah, I don't really got much to say other than like the points that you hit on. Tyreek Hill is still the dog though. He had a decent game. I think he had like 7 receptions, 68 yards. I guess that's not like an amazing game, but I guess it's more mediocre. But.
I mean, when you're with your third string, getting over 5 receptions is like it's still pretty good. I think people don't realize like it's not just yardage, it's actually like getting the receptions that really count. Because most of the time with your third string, you're not gonna get like a deep average depth of target, because like that was like the main thing they worked with Tua for a while. Tua had like the longest yards per completion in the entire NFL, and like you're not going to get that same production with Skyler, so like just kind of like keeping it a down by down game Tyreek was definitely very involved, and I think that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, yeah, there have been some games where like Tyreek is like getting less receptions, but like the big yardage comes into play, and that's what everyone considers like an amazing game. But like, it's a different game plan. You can't compare them the same way.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, exciting nonetheless. Giants versus the Vikings. All I gotta say is fuck the Vikings. This is what I've been saying from the beginning. The Vikings suck, and they were a first round exit. I was not scared of the Vikings, and I even predicted the Giants, and Titus even predicted the Giants to win. And I do not even consider that as an upset. I feel like Giants came in there, did what they needed to do, got out. Vikings are the only 13-4 team in history to have a losing point differential. That's probably not true, but was the only playoff team at least.
There's not a lot of 13 and 14 in general. It's been a 16 game season for a while, but
I guess 13 plus win teams.
Yeah,
but the only winning record in the playoffs at least with a losing point differential, and that is crazy considering that they won 13 games and are the third seed. I just did not feel confident in the Vikings at all, and they should have been 1-14. I guess 3-14. Yeah, 3-14. They should have been 3-14.
I think that's a stretch, but that's a funny idea though. Reports coming out saying that they will stick with Kirk Cousins, but like I think that's a pretty like obvious statement for them to put out. It's not like they're just gonna go ahead and trade him away. I think that's kind of dumb. They just extended him. I think what you could see is like them like picking up another guy in free agency, a young guy who has like some upside that could potentially like take over and maybe bring a spark if like they start off the season really rough. Or they go for a guy like Anthony Richardson who has like major upside, considered like the most talented quarterback in the draft, but is the least prepared quarterback in the draft at the same time. And he's going to fall like, I think some distance. I don't think he's going to be drafted before Young, Stroud, or even probably not the Kentucky guy either. So Will Levis. So I think the Vikings like maybe they'll have to trade up, but I don't know if they'll have to. I think they could just get them where they're at, get a guy like Richardson where they're at, which is like great upside. I think that's exactly what they should be pulling for if I were the Vikes. But we'll have to wait and see. A lot can happen in free agency, as we know. Like it always changes how we look at the draft. Like in the preview of like from outside looking in, I guess when we're still within this season, we're still focused on like who's going to win the Super Bowl. I think Kirk Cousins has like one more year to prove himself worthy, and I don't have a lot of faith in it, but it'd be interesting to see what happens. Like maybe I think offensive line could use some adjustments. I think they could get their running game more involved. I think Dalvin Cook has been consistent, but he just hasn't been given the volume, or like they aren't letting a guy like Madison, who's one of the better like backup running backs in the league, to kind of like get more snaps as well to relieve Dalvin Cook. So I don't feel like they've been that productive there either. I think there's a lot of different offensive adjustments you can make, and the nice thing is it's a new coach, so like I'm sure he's gonna have like a lot of new ideas. Like I don't expect a new coach to be perfect, but the fact that they did go 13-4 means that like okay, he has some like really solid. He's laid a really solid foundation for like the team, and I think that's important. And then on the other side, let's not talk about the Vikings too long. You got the Giants, who also a very similar deal. You have the new coach laying down a really solid foundation. Obviously, the team loves him. Revitalizing a quarterback that has kind of been underwhelming through the past 4 years of his career, but now is like really starting to like bring a spark. People, teammates starting to vouch for him, which I don't know. I don't think I really ever heard that in the first 3 years. Like teammates really like going all out in support of Daniel Jones. Now they're calling him Vanilla Vic and shit like that. Like I think that's important. I definitely expect him to exercise that 5th-year option, give him another year to like really push himself further into like the starter role, cement himself in that starter role. Just get him some good receivers and you're good. And I'm saying this like their season's over and they should look into like what they should do next year. Their season's not over. They could still go all the way and that'd be crazy. But they got a tough opponent next. And yeah, I'm just interested in seeing what they can do with what they got, seeing what type of performance they can put up against a very well rested team. Considering that the Giants are also going to be on the road for the fourth consecutive game, I don't expect them to be completely on point, but let's see what they can do.
It's crazy. I feel like Kirk Cousins is kind of a stat boy, going back to like the Vikings a little bit, but it feels like Kirk Cousins just is a stat boy because out of the last 7 years, he only went under 4,000 yards once passing, and that was in 2015. Oh wait, no, that was in 2019 when he had 3,600 yards, and it's just a lot of interceptions from him that kind of make him iffy. But he doesn't really electrify the team, I feel like, as he should. And that offense too is it's going to be interesting what comes up or how that offense is going to look this upcoming season with all their kind of veterans on offense, because like what are they going to do with Adam Thielen? What are they going to do with Dalvin Cook? Because they're 20 million over cap space. And it's just going to be interesting because I feel like they're going to revitalize that offense a little bit and add kind of newer pieces to it to save market cap. And obviously they're going to keep Justin Jefferson, but
Big extension coming, probably like the biggest we've seen in a long time.
yeah, it's going to be like 250 million for 10 years. Imagine, that would be pretty wild. But on the other side too, with Josh Allen 2.0, like he's going to stop. I guess the Eagles are going to stop him next week, but like, no, it makes sense for why he's here in this current playoff or in this current playoff position. It's because he's Josh Allen 2.0, and no one's really going to stop him. And you can't stop Danny Dimes. You can't stop Vanilla Vic.
That's right, Caleb.
And plus, they also got Saquon Barkley, too.
Yeah, Barkley is obviously a game changer. We saw that on display against the Vikings, who, I don't know, they're pretty hit or miss against the run in general. Against a team like the Eagles, it's going to be interesting because I think Eagles in general have what it takes, but they haven't always put it together against running backs. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what type of game they show. Obviously, like, there's always a different feeling about the round one buys. Like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Obviously, like, you're resting players, but at the same time, there comes a risk with resting players, you know? Like, maybe you lose some momentum. Who knows? Yeah, that's more for the divisional round preview. The next game we have to talk about, finishing off Sunday's slate.
Before we do that, I want to reset the camera.
Go for it, homie.
Nice B-Dog.
Did you call me B-Dog?
Yeah, it's, that's what...
You can't call me Brennan's name?
No, it's your middle name.
No.
Balenkin.
Okay. Bengals and Ravens was a game that occurred Sunday night.
It did occur Sunday night.
And I honestly don't know too much about what happened. I just know it was very close up until one play just changed the entire momentum of it. And I was talking to Caleb about it a little. I don't blame Huntley at all for the events that occurred. He had two hands on the ball. It wasn't like he was doing some lousy reach over. Obviously, he could have maybe gone through a little bit more, but in that position, I don't blame him for going over either. Sometimes it looks just more appetizing. But yeah, overall, just like an insane series of events. I mean, the fact that I just like landed in the hands of a lineman so easily, and then the blocking that ensued as well. Like, Mark Andrews was like hustling to try and get that guy. Like, it wasn't a done deal yet, but I'm surprised that none of like the receivers or anything, that I don't know. I don't know what the setup was. I don't know if there was like an outlying receiver to kind of throw him off or anything, or even like Huntley. I think he's a fast dude. Like, none of them. I couldn't see any of them chasing down the dude who obviously wasn't the fastest returner.
He was a defensive end.
Yeah, it was.
Or lineman.
It was just
lineman.
crazy.
I don't know if he was an end, but yeah.
Hubbard.
That's a fitting name for a defensive lineman, I feel.
Okay. If you say so.
Hubbard's a truck.
Yeah, that's all I know. Bengals surprisingly lousy on offense. I think, personally.
Yeah, I predicted the Ravens only to score 3 points and the Bengals to score 28. So I don't know. I just felt like the Bengals would have a lot more like their way. I guess I was only 4 points off, but I feel like the 28 points would have been like in one quarter, and then they could have kind of like coasted in the second half. You know, it's kind of like one of those performances that we're used to like the Eagles making, especially early on in the season. But I thought it was going to be like a dominant, like singular quarter, like offensive performance where they could like just coast the rest of the way through and just allow like their defense to like, you know, like take over control. But I don't know. Ravens scored a lot more points than what I was expecting.
Also, I'm imagining those 28 you assumed would be all offense.
Yeah.
Whereas it was only 17 offense for the Bengals. So like, really, you weren't really as close as like what you anticipated because that one touchdown was defensive. Which is kind of what I'm saying is like, yeah, we both expected very offensively like powered performance from the Bengals, and we didn't see that at all.
I was actually expecting a 99-yard return that Huntley would have jumped over with two hands and then missed, and then a defensive end would take it 99 yards.
You did that out of order. The 99 return that Huntley put over. Imagine he just...
No, imagine if Huntley tracked him down, forced him to a fumble, and then ran all the way back for the touchdown.
Or like, they had their long snapper out. Huntley was lined up the back end zone. It gets hiked 99 yards, and Huntley tries to fly past everyone to the end zone, and then only barely misses by the end zone. Which some people were saying that it should have been ruled a touchdown.
Because it like crossed the line?
I didn't see it, but it was also hard to see because, you know, you just have all those people over there, and it's like, where do you stop the footage? What frame are you looking at? You know, I think it's hard to do in the moment.
That's why you got NFL replay.
Also, technically, you could also think about, like, he still has to have possession of the ball when it crosses over. So, like, at what point is it getting fumbled? Because, like, it could be over the line, but it might not even be in his hands anymore. Like, there's all these different things.
Too many variables that the poor refs have to consider. But our next game, Cowboys, Buccaneers. Fuck the Cowboys. I knew the Cowboys would probably win this game, and in a kind of dominant fashion like they did, but I just didn't want to admit it, and I would never choose Cowboys to win in the playoffs. That's just something that I would never do, and will never do for the rest of my life. That's the one thing that I'll keep for certain.
Okay.
But shout out to their kicker. He had an amazing performance. 4 missed extra points.
Brett,
good game. I think you should have been given the game ball, honestly. Remember this performance? If the Eagles and Cowboys do end up playing in the championship, just keep this mentality for that. You're going to need it. You're definitely going to need this mentality for the 49ers as well. If you just keep it. You're suspicious. Are you changing some answers?
I wrote these a while ago, and I actually do want to change my answer now.
To what?
Shut up. Don't look. This is cheating.
What do you mean? It's not like I'm going to change my answers.
Well, still, you're not supposed to know. That's the whole fun of it.
No,
not until later.
But you know mine.
That's not the point. Also, like, barely.
What do you mean barely?
I haven't really looked at it.
Oh, look at it now.
No, get off.
Stop telling me what to do.
Oh, my God.
Talk about the Cowboys and Buccaneers with me.
I wish I could. I don't know if I have it in me.
Honestly, I don't really want to talk about the Cowboys that much. So if you don't want to talk about the Cowboys, then I'm fine with not talking about the Cowboys. That is more than fine with me. Did Dak Prescott?
Oh my God, what is happening?
What the fuck? Sounds like someone's dragging a dead body out there on a fucking plastic sled.
Plastic sled is one way to describe that.
But Dak Prescott.
Okay, I'm ready.
Dak Prescott had a little too much of a good game. So are you down to just like moving forward, or do you got anything to say? That's actually important.
I'm done. I didn't really get to watch a lot of the Cowboys Buccaneers game. I just know that Tom Brady is no longer a Buck. That's the way I'm looking at it. Future New York Jet, maybe. Future Raider, maybe. I mean, he's got Josh McDaniels there. He's got the connects. We'll have to see. Devontae Adams and Brady would be crazy.
Yeah, but I feel like Tom Brady can't even throw past 10 yards. So he's gonna.
I feel like this is such a tired argument because it's so not true. We've seen it time and time again. You remember the Mike Evans 4 touchdown performance? That was
doesn't count.
2 weeks ago?
We like to block that out of our minds
All right,
and
cool.
pretend like it doesn't exist.
Cool.
I'm what?
Let's go on to the divisional round. There's no
I'm
MVP
what?
race.
I'm
There's
what?
no MVP race. So
Okay, let's
talk
move
about the divisional
on.
round.
Chiefs, Jaguars. Who you got?
Oh, yes. Well, you should talk about who you got first. That's how we do it.
Who you got? Chiefs, Jaguars. No, I'm joking. I'll go. I'll be a sorry.
We both have the Chiefs, okay?
Okay.
You happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. We both got the Chiefs. That's all I wanted. Now we can continue.
Now we're going to be wrong. The Jaguars are going to win.
Yeah.
Chiefs once again upset by the underdog team coming in, the 4th seed.
I was half expecting to change my answer to the Jaguars, but I'm like, you know what? Let me have faith in the former head coach of the Eagles.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're both. So which one?
Andy Reid. the longer termed
Okay.
previous head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. This is kind of weird. It's like I never really thought about it. But it's like the Eagles head coach or former Eagles head coach battling it out. And then one of them could make it to the Super Bowl, and it would be a former Eagles head coach first.
Man, Caleb,
Eagles head coach.
you should have seen it. Did you know that this happened twice this year between 2 divisional rivals, between the Colts and the Jaguars? 2 former coaching staff members from the Eagles?
Wow.
You would never have guessed, but it's true.
Mm.
Frank Reich and Dougie P battled it out.
That's crazy. But Frank doesn't count because he was just a little offensive coordinator. He didn't really have that big of a part in the Eagles. I'm just joking. I'm joking. But yeah, I got the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs winning 27-13, and I guess we should explain a little bit because we have a little new category going on.
Yes, we do have a new prop bet. Which player scores the first touchdown? If we don't get the exact player right, then we get extra credit if it's at least the same position and team. So, for example, Caleb is choosing Travis Kelce. So, if a tight end for the Chiefs were to score it and it's not Travis Kelce, you would still get some points. I don't even know.
Do they even have any other tight ends?
They definitely do. They've gotten touchdowns, Just don't really know their names. There's one guy who's considered the heir. No, this is not gonna work. You just go to the Chiefs depth chart. Yes, Fortson. Fortson is the guy who's considered the heir to Travis Kelce's coveted tight end position because he's a young guy.
Yes. Where's TE? Noah Gray.
Also Noah Gray. It could be either of them, honestly.
I'm rooting for Jordy because I like his name. Jody. I like Jody Fortson better than Noah Gray. It's a more fun name.
But anyways, if on the other hand, if it's the same position but on the other team, so whoever the Jaguars tight end is,
Evan Engram.
That's right. Or if it's just the same team in general, so any Chiefs player, we would get 1 point, So there's ways to get points here.
Big smoke dog energy.
All right. Well, Chiefs, Jaguars, final score. I have 30-21 in favor of the Chiefs because we both have the Chiefs. And you have 27-13. Not too far off either way, I feel like. But you have the Jaguars not able to put much up against, honestly, I think an underwhelming Chiefs defense.
I think this is going to be a more defensive game, which is honestly looking at the rest of the games with the Bills, Bengals, Eagles, Giants, 49ers, Cowboys. I'm not seeing a lot of defensive play going to be happening in this divisional round of playoffs. But I think this is going to be the more defensive game for some odd reason, and I think it's going to be 2013 for the longest time, and it's going to be an actual game where the Jaguars just need a touchdown to tie, but a late onset, a forced pick six, or a forced lateral play where they have to keep lateraling it back on the last second play, in which is fumbled and ran into the end zone, kind of a garbage time touchdown at the end that was kind of forced. So I think it's going to be a lot closer than the what 14-point like game that I have, and yeah, I just think it's going
Whoa.
to be more defensive.
That's crazy you say that because I think these two teams are the most underwhelming defenses left in the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, look at the others.
Yeah, that is true.
They're stacked. I feel like these two teams, I don't know. I don't really trust Chiefs defense as much. And Jaguars defense hasn't really. I mean, we saw what the Chargers were able to put up early. Obviously, with the help of some Trevor Lawrence picks, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I do not see it the same way. I think it could still. I don't think it will be like in the 40s or anything crazy like that. But I think the offensive production will still be there.
Interesting.
Clearly
Interesting.
there. Maybe red zone efficiency won't be amazing, but I think still we'll get lots of yardage and points will result. I have Zay Jones as the first person to score a touchdown. I think the wide receiver core for the Jaguars is pretty good, so I'm at least betting on a Jaguars wide receiver, and I just chose Zay Jones because I don't know. I think he's relatively consistent. Maybe not the most flashy member of that team, but I think, I'll entrust him with this one. And you did the safe bet of Travis Kelce. Lame.
Well, it's gonna happen. So like, why would I like not pick the person that like is gonna get the touchdown? You know, I'm a time traveler. Remember?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm actually going to allow you to win this series this time.
Don't say that.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Don't say that.
I'm joking. I'm not a time traveler, and I'm not letting Titus win. Just joking. I am a time traveler. Now you know.
What the fuck? Stop. Just
Obvi-
choose one narrative or the other.
Obviously, I'm not a time traveler. Wink, wink.
Okay. Next game, we have the Bills and the Bengals. I'm excited for this because obviously this is the first time they're playing since the tragedy. Hamlin, who looks like, I think, like shockingly well, all things considered. Like, I mean, he was live tweeting the next Bills game. I mean, he seemed like in relatively good spirits. So I'm excited because like these two teams, I was very excited for that game that night, and I think it would be a fascinating matchup. It was looking to be that way through the first couple of drives. I think it was like 7-3 before it got nullified. Both young quarterbacks that we think are like the future of the league. You know, great players surrounding them, and yeah, I think we're probably going to see like a good tribute to Damar Hamlin too in this game, at least pre-game, if not throughout. It'll be cool. I'm interested to see what the weather will be like in Buffalo because I think it could get crazy, but we'll have to wait and see, of course.
Yes. Yeah, I predict that the Bills will win.
Me too.
I predict that it's going to be 38-30.
That's crazy. I had 38-33.
That is crazy. I was about to say 33. Wait, is that... Okay, no. That's not what you changed, right?
No.
Okay, you changed something about the Cowboys game?
No.
Okay. And I also think... Excuse me. Had some hiccups. I also think that Gabe Davis is going to score the first touchdown as well. The reason why I got the both 30... Okay.
What?
I thought you were looking at me weird. Sorry. But the reason why I got 30 points for each of them is because of number 3. And that's why I was contemplating on picking 33 for Damar Hamlin. But yeah, I just think that this is going to be a really high scoring game, and I think Josh Allen, Joe Burrow is going to be slinging it back and forth as the first in this, I guess not the first. Yeah, wait, no. Okay. Second to last game of this wild or divisional round in the playoffs. I just think that is going to be one of those slinger type moments where the defense can't really have an option on either side. And these were two kind of MVP finalists, even though they kind of got blown out of the way towards the end of the season. But they were still having MVP-like seasons nonetheless. And I think it's just going to be interesting to see how either one of their defense is going to be able to stop either one of their offenses.
I will also go with a Bills player, former Colt Nyheim Hines. I like this because it could happen in multiple ways. Obviously, he's the returner, and he's been really heating up at this point. We saw what happened with his 2 touchdowns, returning touchdowns. The game after DeMar Hamlin went down, and yeah, obviously I think he could do it on offense too. I don't think Singletary is like the necessarily considered the go-to. I think they'll mix it up a little. Hines will have an opportunity at least early, and yeah, I mean it's obviously biased as well because Farmer Colt will always root for that guy. He's the king.
King type shit.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well that it's not all like on Josh Allen's shoulders either. Like obviously this could technically be a Josh Allen throw to him because Hines is a good receiving back too. But I think it would be important to get like a running back involved really early in the red zone, try to get that going. Even though we just saw what happened with the Bengals when you try to rush it in the red zone. But still, I think if you can get that going, then I don't have much of a problem with the Bills, and they will have a clear path to victory.
I predict that Josh Allen will throw a couple picks, though. I'm willing to put that as a comment, though, because I feel like that's like a little insight. But I do believe that Josh Allen is going to continue his
Josh Allen
his turnover struggles. I was trying to talk and type at the same time, and it was not going good. Josh Allen, 2 interceptions. I feel like his turnover struggles will continue thanks to that Bengals defense, because Bengals showed highlights throughout this season where they can turn over the ball a lot, i.e. when they played the Buccaneers and had 4 straight turnovers. Four straight turnovers. But that's all I got to say about the Bills Bengals.
Going over to the NFC side, we have the Eagles versus the Giants, a divisional matchup in the divisional round. Perfect. The NFC side made history with 3 teams from the same division all ending up in the final 4 of a conference, aka the divisional round, with the Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys. I'm excited for this one. I think Eagles, Giants is always thrilling.
Imagine if Washington somehow got into the playoffs and somehow beat the 49ers, and it was like all the NFC East in one like divisional round. That would be insane.
Let Howell cook.
I want to see that happen. I want to see that happen in the future. Okay, make that happen. NFC East.
It'll be the AFC South next.
Yes,
trust me.
I trust you. Don't worry.
Listen, you know how good that Titans coaching is. Like they'll manage to get Malik into good shape. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously got Trevor Lawrence. Texans and Colts have a chance to get Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. Let them develop for a couple of years. It's going to be the AFC side. All four of these teams.
I trust you. And I'm expecting a text in 2 years from now. It would be like, "Ha, told you so." And I was like, "Damn straight, I agree." I was like, "I'm going to be so happy for the AFC South."
That you think in 2 years it's going to get to the point where I have to text you to say that.
Well, maybe. Wow. I think we're still going to be bestest of friends, but who knows? Wow. It's maybe we're living in the same city, but there's under the different roof.
Honestly, I
angry. How can I project?
Mortified.
How can I project where we're both gonna live, huh? I don't want to speak for you.
I'm just joking around because of the conversations we had last night about certain arrangements.
Yeah, I still am down for that, but I don't know.
Yeah, obviously, like I'm saying that like barring a major opportunity that comes up elsewhere.
Yeah. Course. Eagles, Giants. I think the Eagles are going to win 45-17.
Yeah, let's go Eagles.
Boston Scott is going to score the first touchdown because he's the giant killer. He is the giant killer, and the Eagles are going to be like, Boston Scott, here's your 4th touchdown. Oh, you want your 5th? Here you go. I'll just lob it up to you. Yeah. Oh, you want to return your 6th touchdown of the game? Okay, go off on a punt return. It's just going to be the Boston Scott show, and it's going to be all Boston Scott this entire game. And
that's you think 45-17. That's crazy. I have 27-24. I actually think it'll be very close. Very, like, you'll be having a panic attack. That's what I'm predicting. It'll come down to a last-second field goal, something like that, or even like a touchdown. Maybe they'll go down 20-24 and have to get a touchdown to win it. I think some crazy shit will come out of this game. And I'm not going to do Boston Scott. I'm going to play it a little safe and do Miles Sanders. I do think Boston Scott obviously does good volume against the Giants, but I think Miles Sanders is still a safe bet for first tutty. He's been obviously scoring a lot this year, a lot more than the previous year, by an infinite amount. But
Same with Sanders too.
yeah,
Didn't
so
score a
I would
touchdown.
still get some points if Scott
Yeah.
gets it. So that's kind of like my mentality. And obviously there's some other guys in the depth that could get the ball and do it. So
Yeah. Obviously, I'm being a little facetious with the score, and I just don't want this to be close. But I can see this being a very close game because this is a playoff game, in which not that the first appearance that the Eagles and Giants had this year wasn't serious because there were still playoff implications, but more so the second time around. Giants were resting some players, and Eagles were not going full force. So I think this is going to be a lot closer. Hopefully it's not, because I don't want that stress. I would absolutely hate that if it came down to a last-second touchdown. But Eagles-Giants games have been known to be nail-biters regardless of the record. So I feel like the Eagles always have to come up last second to beat the Giants. And it's been almost a decade since the Giants beat the Eagles in the Link. So we have that to our advantage. But on the flip side of that,
it could be the perfect storyline for them. Going into the NFC Championship, no one expected Giants to get there.
yeah, and I think they're 6-0 within the last decade with number 1 seeds. Wait, no. All time. I don't know the time span, but they're 6-0 against number 1 seeds in the playoffs. I think it's I'm just going to say all time.
Yo, imagine Giants Cowboys NFC Championship. You'd be so mad.
I'd be so bad.
Because that guarantees one of them Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
And then it's just a 50-50 from there. It's like that would make me angry if that happened to me.
I would be rooting for the Giants, obviously, in that scenario.
Of course.
Fuck the Cowboys, because Cowboys are going to be like, oh my God, we made it to the Super Bowl. Oh my God, we're good. Dak is elite. We're gonna run back next year. Oh my God, no.
All they have to do is outplace the Eagles. So if the Eagles lose here and the Cowboys advance, they're gonna ride that until next postseason, and then the Eagles have to like outplace them in order to make it go away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cowboys fans are obnoxious.
Yeah, but at the same time, Eagles on the same level. Eagles on the same level when it comes to that rivalry.
Yeah.
I think they're both as bad. In general, I think Cowboys fans are more obnoxious, like on a general, like across the league. But like as far as that rivalry goes, I think the antagonizing is equal on both sides.
Yeah.
It's fun, honestly.
It's so fun, but so stressful at the same time.
As long as it doesn't cross any territory where it's like really bad, like cheering for an injury.
Or throwing rocks at Santa.
No, that's fun. I'm joking. 49ers Cowboys.
Got the 49ers winning 34-28, but CD Lamb is going to be getting the first touchdown, and which is the first prediction that I made in this round. Why?
Why what? Why is it the first prediction you made in this round? I'm
No.
pretty sure you made other predictions.
No, why did you choose the Cowboys?
I had a switch.
Yeah, why did you
It's
switch?
because I remembered they faced off last year. 49ers embarrassed the Cowboys. Well, actually, no. The Cowboys embarrassed themselves through poor time management. And the 49ers, like, for example, Trent Williams, like, really got in the faces of the Cowboys fans. It was crazy. So I think there's going to be some payback here. I just feel the karma. And then it'll make for a really great NFC Championship, whether it's between Cowboys Giants or Cowboys Eagles. I think that's the way I look at it. I think 49ers, it's not now or never in my mind. I think they got something there in that quarterback room. If it's Trey Lance, great. If it's Brock Purdy, great. One of them will do good. And they're both young, so I'm not worried about the 49ers at all. Yeah, I think Cowboys we'll just get it over them. But at the same time, I'm prepared to be wrong because the 49ers are just like heating up like crazy. They look too good. But at the same time, Dak Prescott just had an amazing playoff game against a good defense, Bucs defense. So that's where I'm at.
That's a sneeze.
Do it.
No, I went away.
Okay.
But what I was saying earlier is that I picked CD Lamb for the first touchdown, and that's the first time that I predicted the first touchdown being the opposite of the team that I chose to win.
Okay.
You know, I got the Chiefs winning, Travis Kelce, Bills winning, I got Gabe Davis, Eagles winning, I got Boston Scott. But now I got the 49ers winning, and I got CD Lamb.
We also have a very similar outcome here.
Yes.
Because, I mean, obviously it's flopped since I have the Cowboys, but I have 31-28. And you have 34-28.
Yeah, and I think we are both kind of in the same mindset where it's going to be high scoring, but it's going to be close, and it's going to be...
I think there will be a defensive touchdown. I don't know which side, because both defenses are capable, obviously, but somewhere there.
Do a prediction of which team. Make like a little comment. Who are you going to choose?
I'll say Cowboys. Cowboys will get a defensive touchdown.
Imagine if it's Michael Parsons. If it's Michael Parsons that gets the touchdown, media will not shut up about it for the rest of the playoff
Honestly,
run.
this could decide defensive player of the year race. Think about it. Nick Bosa and Michael Parsons. Obviously, I think Nick Bosa has an outstanding lead, but if Michael Parsons has the game of the century against a heating up 49ers team and Bosa underachieves,
Yeah.
I'm just saying Michael Parsons could just win over the media, like we said.
I concur.
And then I have George Kittle because I love George Kittle. It's the first touchdown. So I also kind of did the same thing as you.
The camera stopped.
Shut up!
Should I reset it?
Nah, we're done.
We're done? All right. You got George Kittle?
Yeah, George Kittle, same thing you did. Different team than I expect to win. I think 49ers will go up early, but I think there will be a defensive touchdown in there that switches the momentum, and there you go. Oh, perfect timing because my battery is almost dead.
All right. Bye.
Peace out, everyone. Enjoy your football this weekend, but enjoy it responsibly. Make sure to take water breaks if you're drinking, and
No.
do the right drugs, not the wrong ones.
Yes. And then say happy birthday to me in the comments.
Yes, say happy birthday to Caleb. It's his birthday right now.
Yes.